Hi, as Jenny says, I'm from Simon Laker from Consult Hperion. We're a technology firm full of geeks who like to get involved with new things, with new technologies, and we've been working closely with transit operators now for the last 5 or so years, and in particular with Shashi at TfL in developing new transit ticketing schemes. I'd just like to talk about sort of some of these new approaches that we've been looking into and discussing with other operators around the world. So looking at the evolution of ticketing, as Shashi said, sort of 30 years ago or so, we were using sort of things like metal tokens and bits of paper to prove our eligibility to travel on systems around the world. And that moved through into sort of magnetic tickets that we're still using today in our national rail system, in smart cards as we're using in London. And in the future, we'll see going forward, we'll move more into the sort of mobile phone space, into barcodes, and eventually into sort of the use of contactless bank cards, as Shashi's just run through with us. So why this move? Why this evolution? Well, for the first time, sort of other people are issuing technologies that we can make use of as transit operators. So banks are now issuing contactless payment cards around the world, and we can make use of that technology because it's the same technology a lot of us are using for our smart cards today. They enable us to do low-value transactions. They've got a pretty fast transaction time that we can kind of work with, and they're coming down all the time. For consumers, they're really convenient. They allow us just to tap and make our purchases and walk away. We don't have to enter PINs or anything like that. And merchants who are accepting contactless transactions now are seeing an uplift in the sales that they're making. And could it finally be, as my boss says, the end of the cash menace, where we're still carrying around bits of industrial metal to pay for items? It's the digital age. Let's move to a digital solution. We're also seeing the convergence of banking with mobile. In the US, Google Wallet and ISIS launched this year. In the UK, Barclays have launched a mobile NFC product to allow us to make payments with our mobile phones using NFC technology, the same 14443 technology that contactless uses. And more are on the way all the time. We're also seeing the mobile phone used as a point of sale instrument with Square and iZettle and PayPal, and also for peer-to-peer payments. Ping It was launched in the UK last month through Barclays, and there are other schemes around the world as well. And governments are also issuing contactless smart cards for transit products, for concessions, and also for ID schemes. So could we make use of those? As Shashi says, if we can just get a unique ID off that card and authenticate it, why not? That's all we need, and then we can do all of the management of that card and that account in the back office. So things are moving forward. Things are moving in a direction where transit operators can finally get rid of issuing cards themselves and make use of cards and products and credentials that other agencies are issuing for us. So we're moving towards a legacy, from a legacy, to an open system. And this is a sort of track that we've sort of seen over the last, or we've put together over the last few months, where operators who were once sort of down in the bottom left corner and top left corner are now moving to a more account and open-based systems into the top right. So UTA in Utah, in the US, have got a fully account-based system where they accept not only payment cards but also government-issued cards and student cards for ridership around Salt Lake City and the surrounding area. And Transport for London launching the Future Ticketing project this year. And in the US, we're seeing the MTA moving directly from a magstripe scheme currently direct to an account open-based system. And the metro system in Washington, D.C. also moving from a smart system in the same way that TfL did to an open-based system, and with others following suit. So what does that mean for our systems, for our operations, how will they change? Well, ticket sales and distribution channels are the main change movers here. So moving away from setting up ticket offices, setting up self-service machines, or on-vehicle payments, bus drivers handling cash and all of that business, to being a much more self-service operation. So our customers, our passengers can sort themselves out, sort out all of their accounts online, through the internet, through their mobile phone, just turning up and going and not having anything to do with the transit operator. And it offers so much more flexibility. It's so more user-friendly, and it gives the user so much more flexibility to just turn up and go and not have to worry about how it works. A lot about turning up in a city for the first time is learning how the ticketing system works. Well, wouldn't it be nice just to turn up and wave a credit card and just not have to worry? It just works, is what we should be aiming for. So, to enable smart cards to be accepted, or payment cards to be accepted in the UK transit systems, the UK banks have developed a model that allows us to do that, because the original model for accepting payment cards was that you had to know the price, for example, before you put your card down on the reader. Well, they've allowed us to move to a zero tap model, where when you tap on the reader, no value is taken off of the card or off straight out of the account. We just take enough information so that we can charge the account when we do know the value of the day's transactions. We make use of, rather than making use of the card counters that are on our EMV cards, we develop our own online or our back office authorization systems to manage the risks in each card. So we know when a card needs to go for an authorization, if it's the first time we've seen them, to check that they've got value in their accounts, we can handle all of that, and we can do an end of day settlement. And the terminal field is not just activated when the bill's ready to pay, but it's always active. So there's no waiting for a field to be activated. We can just turn up, tap, and walk through. And there's a number of business architectures as well that we can make use of. There's obviously the traditional smart architectures through Oyster and Octopus, but there's also a number of others. There's the account-based system in Utah. There's just plain, simple retail payments, so you get the value of the ticket and you just tap as a normal offline retail payment, and you get on the same as they've used in the Liverpool trial. We talked about open payments, and there's another interesting method of open payments which has nothing to do with readers or back office systems, and can be as simple as just an app on a mobile phone, where before you get on, you buy your ticket, you show it to the driver who validates it, and you get on. It doesn't have to be a big complex system. It could be something really quite simple. Are there some issues? Well, there's some issues. We need to be clever about how we make the readers work. These readers, although we're removing a lot of the difficulty from a number of the complexities of the reader has to handle in managing fares, handling big fare tables, changing those fare tables regularly, all of that goes, but what adds to that is the ability to communicate with a number of different schemes. So here we've got an example of the TfL reader that's not only got to continue accepting Oyster, but it also accepts the national ITSO scheme and also accepts the EMV schemes. And all told, that's 14 different card types, different card technologies, all running on 14443 communications, that this reader has to work out who it's talking to first of all, then what scheme it is, and then to see whether it's something it can continue to interact with, all in 300-400 milliseconds. That's a big task for this reader to be able to handle, and the design of that reader needs to be carefully considered to be able to do that. So looking at options like prototyping beforehand to make sure that it can achieve that before production happens is key. And just a quick word on security. Because we're now handling payment cards, we need to consider PCI DSS. So careful consideration and work with the PCDIS assessor is key to help us pass this accreditation. It's really important, unfortunately. But if we want to accept payment cards and we want to keep our system secure and free from attack, then this we must do. We also need to consider about maintaining deny lists to manage our own risks. And we also need to think about authentication of non-EMV type cards. So in summary then, just quickly, there seems to be this transition from readers through to back office managed systems. Readers just being there to authenticate the credential that's presented in front of it. Passenger devices could be anything they have in their pockets, EMV cards, specific transit cards or government issued cards. And integration will be managed by sort of national and international standards. And what comes next? Well, mobile phones will bring new opportunities for us to interact with our clients and customers to give them an enhanced experience when they ride on our systems. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Simon.